Well, hello and welcome to Bar and Benches interview series. Today we have with us Senior Advocate Deepinder Singh Patwalia, Advocate General of Punjab. Well, the appointment of Senior Advocate Patwalia as the Advocate General for the state of Punjab came after former Advocate General of the state, APS Deol, had tendered his resignation. It was indeed an entire tumultuous episode and political controversy brewing during that point of time. However, now with several issues such as stubble burning, farm laws repeal, etc., at the center stage of a Supreme Court of India, Punjab government has been called to reply to various questions again and again. In this context, this interview with Senior Advocate Deepinder Singh Patwalia assumes importance. So your appointment as the Advocate General for the state of Punjab comes amid the backdrop of a tumultuous resignation and a political controversy. What were your initial thoughts on that?
Well, that's something which is, as I say, history. It's gone, and it's a very prestigious and onerous post. So if offered, I don't think you really have a choice or you take a call. So it was offered to me, and I've accepted it, and I hope I can do justice to they've given it to me and what they expect of me. Of course, I think it's every lawyer's dream to be, appointed on this coveted post, and I also, somewhere in my mind, thought that maybe I have a shot at it, but I never expected that it will come so early in life. And so it's the initial thought was shock, and also a little bit humbling because I never expected it will come so early, but it has, and I'm very thankful to God. That's all I can say.
So you come from a family with a very rich legal background. In such a situation, does practicing law, taking up legal profession comes naturally to you? Or were there other options also?
No, I don't think that, ever since I was conscious of the fact that I'm born into a legal family, did I have any other option? Or in my mind as well, I always knew and I always thought that I'm going to be a lawyer. There are various reasons for that. You actually eat, breathe, and you live law. At every dinner table, at every lunch table, that's all that was being discussed. So it just came very naturally to you. And also deep down, I think it gives you maybe a false sense of security that you have some backing. So I think that also was a very important decision for me.
Right. So did your father play any role in imbibing, this aspiration towards pursuing law as a career in particular?
Not really. On the contrary, he always gave us the independence to choose what we did. He never, ever told me that, you must or you have to do law. He said, you choose what you want to do. And I guess that's maybe made the decision a lot easier, because had he been pressurizing me, the first instinct is to withdraw from that pressure. So he was very open-ended, but I always knew that this is something which I really want to pursue. That's how it happened.
Right. So there is a recent debate, I'm sure you're aware of this, of nepotism in judiciary. Do you think it exists? And if so, what is your take on it?
I don't think it's nepotism. It's a part of, every professional line or practice has some sort of a nepotism. To say that it affects somebody's rationale or decision-making process is another thing. But to say it exists, I think it does to some extent, but not to an extent where it prejudices or colors somebody's mind to alter their decisions. I don't think that's the case at all.
Okay. So as an Advocate General, you are expected to espouse the cause of the state government. How difficult is it as an AG is for you to maintain what you think is correct and what is the political diktat?
That's an interesting question. I've stepped in at a time where the political turmoil is at its peak. Elections around the corner, and there's a lot to be done and to be desired. But I don't think that any political decision is going to color my decision to give the objective and the correct opinion. Okay. When I took the post, what I've been taught all my life is that there is no option but to be integral to the post and be honest about it. So I'm going to give an opinion which is correct in law, which I feel is the correct opinion. And if it goes against the political will of somebody, so be it. I have to be honest to my profession and to the system to which I belong.
Right. So the decision to repeal the farm laws was hailed by several quarters, farm unions, etc. And you are well aware that there were several petitions challenging the validity of those farm laws before the Supreme Court. As a legal professional, do you think the decision to repeal the farm laws came too little, too late?
I think that's a political debate. There is no right answer for that. The farm laws were a subject matter of great turmoil in this country. Whether they were good, bad, or indifferent, that's another issue. We feel that they were prejudicial to the farmers, and therefore they should have been repealed. That was a consistent stand for the state of Punjab. Now I'm talking for the state of Punjab. So they were repealed. There was a lot. There has been a lot of turmoil with the farmers. They've suffered a lot. There've been deaths. We've seen them on the roads.
Absolutely.
So if you say too little, too late, I don't know, maybe. But if you say that in the end, a good decision, I think so. It's settled a lot of factors here.
Coming to a more legal question on this area of farmers' protest, when this case was being heard by the Supreme Court, there was a pertinent observation made by Justice A.M. Khanwilkar-led bench that when you have challenged a particular law before the top court, there is no need to protest, or that takes away your right to protest on the streets. How do you see this legal observation?
Protest is, I think, a democratically protected right of every citizen. As far as the protest is peaceful, it doesn't disrupt public life, it doesn't cause any harm to property or person. I don't think there's anything wrong in protesting. Whether you challenge it in a court is a separate issue. And I personally don't feel anything wrong in protesting as far as, and you don't destroy public property and life.
So how do you see this current debate on his senior designations practice, especially since the senior designation practice of Punjab and Haryana High Court was challenged in the Supreme Court? What is your take on the practice? Is it being followed to the hilt as it was laid down in the Jai Singh case?
I'm not privy to what actually happened while the last designation was there. I was not part of the member committee or any proceedings, but every system has some loophole or something to aggrieve a particular party. I think the last designations, as all, have been very fair, and there is a process given under the rules which we have framed under the Punjab and Haryana. There's a committee, there's application invited, there are marks given. So I'm sure, and I'm very sanguine that it was all done according to that. Are there going to be a few disgruntled people? Always, and rightly so. Everybody feels that I deserve it more than the next person.
Absolutely.
So that's a debate which has to go on, and it's actually unfortunate that it's gone to court. I don't think such a appointment or such designation should ever be subject matter of any judicial proceeding at all.
Right. So coming to the burning debate on stubble burning, Punjab, you have always seen, often bears the brunt of this entire debate of stubble burning. As a law officer, do you think enough is being done on the ground to contain this issue, or often things are exaggerated at the top court when we have that annual pollution hearing for so as to?
Yeah, I've been privy to the litigation because I've been appearing for the state of Punjab Supreme Court, and the affidavits filed revealed that only 4 or 5% of the actual environmental degradation or pollution is caused by stubble burning. Is it an issue? It's a huge issue. As a state of Punjab, should it be stopped? Of course. But the fundamental problem comes in two aspects. One is the financial aspect, to solve it or to find alternative ways to use paddy and straw. We need resources, and we are financially starved when I say we, state of Punjab. The second issue is awareness. It's a mindset, to change the mindset of a farmer to say that, no, don't do this. Let's go on to project X or Y or Z. That takes fundamental challenge. So we are on it, and I think it should be done. There is a lot of action which we have taken. The status reports have been filed, but it's an ongoing process. To say that next year there will be no farm burning, there will be no stubble burning, I don't think that's an incorrect statement. Will it be better than what it was last year? For sure it will.
So how do you see this recent conflict between central and state governments? There have been numerous instances of a central and state government conflicts, especially in the BJP and non-BJP ruled states. And those matters are actually reaching the court. West Bengal has got its case in the Supreme Court now, challenging CBI's jurisdiction to take cognizance of cases even when consent is revoked. Do you think the federal structure as envisioned in the Constitution remains the same? The balance is still there, or how do you see this entire tussle that's happening lately?
The federal structure is certainly there. That's what the Constitution guarantees to us and every citizen. What is actually happening is, and I think I'm very happy to say that there is more awareness. There is awareness of your rights. There's awareness of your handicaps. So state is like any other aggrieved party. If the state feels that its rights have been encroached, even if by the union or by the center, it has a legitimate right to go to court. So to say that it's happening more now, I would disagree with that statement. But to say that the states are more aware of what they can do if they feel that their rights are being encroached, I think that's a separate issue, and that's what's been happening now.
But is there a greater scope to follow decentralization in any way?
There has to be a meeting of minds. Unfortunately, everything has become very political now. I don't think politics should be left aside in one aspect, but where your states are concerned, where the center is concerned, there has to be a meeting of mind. There has to be more consensus-oriented approach, which I don't see, unfortunately, happening because the situation politically is very volatile right now.
You are a very young Advocate General. What is the road ahead for you? Just to ask you that, do you aspire to be a judge someday? At any of the courts?
No, I've already crossed that bridge there. That's something which I don't look at. I don't think I'm cut out to be a judge. I'll be a very temperamentally bad judge, so I don't think I should be there. This is something which I aspire.
One thing I wanted to ask you, if you could just list for us some of the most important cases that you hold close to your heart as a lawyer, not as for the state government or anything, as a lawyer that you enjoyed the most in your litigation days?
I have a span of about 20 to 21 years of law behind me. There have been so many cases, and the challenges everywhere are different. Sometimes is some case as small as somebody's pension matter, and when you win, it gives you a greater sense of accomplishment than winning for a DGP of a state.
Right.
So it's why I love litigation is because every case has its own challenges. To say that this case was better than the other, I would disagree. But one of the first few cases which I've argued, which I can never forget, we had challenged the selection of one of the members of the Punjab Public Service Commission. So that was something which was very close to my heart. I remember laboring for hours together to research. We had taken out the debates from the Constitutional Assembly. So that's something which really taught me a lot of how to go about, arguing constitutional matters before full benches and constitutional benches. And that's something which I accomplished, I think.
So Punjab was one of the first states to separate law and order duties from the investigation duties of the police. How do you think that helped in the conviction rates?
I think it's a very recent phenomena. I really don't have the numbers with me, and I really can't comment on whether it's actually borne fruit or not. But investigative is a totally different aspect. That's something which the Police Act also said you must do that, and I think the Punjab has done that. Whether it's actually resulted or fructified in anything, I would not be in a position to give you those numbers.
Right. The last question to you, sir, which is often the most important one in an interview. What is your message to the bar and bench readers? Because, there's a lot of array of people looking at you now.
Firstly, you guys are doing an outstanding job. I think it's the leading platform for all news. That's something which I look at regularly. And I always say this, something which I've imbibed all my life, that there is no shortcut to honesty, integrity, and hard work. You feel that you've been left out, you feel you've been given the shorter end of the stick, but down the road, it all comes back, and there is just no substitute for honesty and integrity and hard work.
Just one thing I wanted to ask you, maybe I missed it. Do you think one thing, since you're Advocate General of the state, you must be handling so many young lawyers, any one particular thing that is lacking in the young legal professional these days, which you would like to see them imbibe in the coming days?
So I think one aspect of law that we, as youngsters, and I keep telling them in my office as well, which is now taken a backseat is research. I remember when I started my profession, I joined with my brother. And he never gave me drafting. He said, drafting is something you will learn. You go and research. This is the proposition of law. Please find me judgments on that. So I remember I used to start at 7:30 in the evening, and I used to be lost. I didn't know how to find the judgments, what context to do it in. But then I researched. And so what that does is, not only do you learn how to research, you know what propositions of law are. You know that if this is the proposition of law, this is what the Supreme Court has held, this is what my court has held. And that helps you so much in life. And I've seen that today, and I say personally, because I keep firing my associates, that please research. Drafting anybody can do. I can hire a clerk for drafting, but you need to do research, and that's how you build your case. Right. So that's something which is inherently lacking, I think, in today's world, at least from what I've experienced.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. I think we wrapped it sooner than we imagined. So,
I'm thank you for that.
Credit to your pointed answers. Thank you.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell icon.